Okay, welcome to Expert Insights on Buildings Canada. We're doing live interviews at the Building Show here in Toronto. And with me is Stephen Damp from EllisDon, who just finished his session on P3s. So, Stephen, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Emma, for having us, and thank you for hosting the show here.
So the first question I have for you is, in regards to P3 projects, what are some of the next opportunities you see for growth in infrastructure?
Well, we're seeing, and as one of the other speakers talked to this afternoon, wide range of opportunities for the P3s to move into not only greater sectors but greater geography across Canada and, frankly, internationally. The Canadian P3 business is maturing very quickly, and I think we often don't give Canadians credit for some of the great expertise we're developing in this country and the great balance in when are P3s effective, who do they bring value to, and how do they work. So P3s work most effectively when a government asset, a large asset, is looking for capital investment, and that asset is ultimately going to be used by the public, the taxpayers. So, traditionally it's been either in social infrastructure like hospitals or government buildings, highways, and now the biggest movement across the country is into the transit infrastructure, which is really going very well. And then there's a next stage of movement looks out into some water, wastewater systems and some of the other related systems. So even energy and electrical transmission and telecommunications, there's a lot of different opportunities down the road.
Very interesting. So the second question I have for you is, how do regional construction practices, the political environment, and culture influence the delivery of a P3 infrastructure project, especially between domestic and international projects?
So I'll start maybe from my perspective on the domestic ones first, although I think it's applicable on the international as well. Construction itself is delivered locally, or as people say, it is a local business. And people say politics in the end is always local. Politics is local, and cultures are local. So a P3 has to work in the local environment for it to be beneficial. So how do you exactly make that happen? It's not a one-size-fits-all. You do have to have a specific project that is beneficial to have a P3, and it has to work in the local context for the local governments, for that local service and that local asset, fit the culturally, the politically, and so the construction is ultimately, in the engineering, particularly the construction is delivered locally, and in many aspects a lot of the engineering is delivered locally as well.
Wonderful. And so I guess this brings me into my next question, is what are some of the best practices for a successful delivery of a P3 project that you see?
Well, P3s work, they're very effective when, frankly, they're appropriate for a project. And so clarity of the project certainly matters. Some long-term stability. We talked about in the sessions some of the political risks around and stability economics. And so one of the gentlemen was from another country where they currently don't have a lot of political or economic stability in their country. And he says, well, how do we make P3s work? And you probably won't, because a P3 does need a certain amount of political and economic stability. So in Canada, they work extremely well from those perspectives, because obviously we're in very good shape in those two areas. They also, though, have to have some clarity of the process and also clarity of the actual project and what are we talking about. So, traditionally the P3s are for, as I said earlier, for government assets that tend to be capital investment heavy up front, that delivered to the public in a long-term basis. So the governments, frankly, have to take the lead in establishing what do they really even want from their asset, and what service do they intend for that asset to deliver to the public. And then if they can get that written down, then the processes work quite well.
Okay, and so for my last question, I have... Oh, no? Sorry, I'm... End of the questions.
Well, thank you very much, Emma.
Oh no, thank you so much for coming here, and thank you to CMD for letting us host these interviews in their booth. And for those of you that are watching at home, subscribe to our channel if you like this video. We are going to be releasing more videos throughout the year. And thank you so much, and see you next time.